Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Dave. I'm back in the flesh with another legendary video. Welcome back to the podcast where I bring the latest news and updates from the world of sports and entertainment as I continue to keep everything all nitty-gritty, everything so saucy in the land of professional wrestling with a lovely SmackDown review from March 28, 2025, which is live from the famous O2 Arena in London, United Kingdom. As it all goes down on this channel, appreciate you guys coming through. Let's talk professional wrestling and let's get into the review. Appreciate you guys. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we kick things off and talking about Cody Rhodes kicks things off with everything leading up to his WrestleMania, including his opponent, John Cena. He says the two of them will be standing face to face on Monday Night Raw next week, and he was quickly interrupted by Randy Orton. He highlighted the career when it came to Cody Rhodes, including where they came from, starting off becoming a part of the Legacy Group Legacy. More importantly, noted all the hard work that Cody Rhodes had put into, including his ups, his downs, his frustrations, and he had to leave to grow and become the bigger person that he has become. But of course, Randy Orton said it took some balls to go away, but he appreciates everything that he has done, and the business has been red hot and better than ever, including all his accolades, including the Hell in a Cell run when it came to Seth Rollins, as well as fighting with that torn pec, including the famous back-to-back WrestleManias when it comes to finally defeating Roman Reigns. More importantly, he's currently now in the middle of a new story, including taking control of his own legacy, and gives credit to how the business has been hot, including telling Rose that he loves him. He respects him, and he's proud of him. Then, of course, Orton shift focus to talk about WrestleMania. He says he's going to kick Kevin Owens in the head and says that Rhodes will beat the hell out of John Cena. He walks out of WrestleMania with his title, and Owens says there will become a time and a place where he's going to want a shot after the world title. And he won't kick Rhodes in the balls like cowards. Instead, he says he's going to show respect, and he's going to come right at him face to face for the title. But of course, then he was interrupted by Drew McIntyre. McIntyre had a whole lot to say. The European crowd was red hot for him, but he's over this love fest between those two because it's making him sick. McIntyre questioned what Orton has done since he's returned and deserving of a title match. He tells him to go to the back of the line. McIntyre says that Rose should have listened to him, and everybody should have listened to about what he said about John Cena. He says the WrestleMania main event should have been Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes, but it's not thanks to Damian Priest. McIntyre says that he nor Orton will take the title from Rhodes, and on top of that, Randy Orton tells him to get to the point. McIntyre says that Kevin Owens might have a point as well, and says that if Orton provokes him, he'll break his back. Rose hits McIntyre, of course, then things break down, and then he almost got ARKO with an attempt by Randy Orton. But things broke down quickly as Rhodes stands tall, and then they pretty much go into the break. But the promo was really good. It was a strong start when it came to Friday Night SmackDown. Orton giving the flowers to Cody Rhodes was amazing, including the history building up to what they have had, including the emotions that was getting involved, even everything becoming effective. Also set an eventual match between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, even adding Drew McIntyre at a little point. But Drew McIntyre did make some good points when it came to the overall presentation about who needs to earn a shot, including references to history of how things have been going on, including the segment should be truly great when it comes to all future matchups, including WrestleMania. But I'd like to know from your point of view how you guys are feeling about everything, and I look forward to seeing how things continue to be pushed with everybody being involved in the world title picture. Then we get to the first action of the night. It was the WWE Tag Team Championship on lines of Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins defending the goal against Pretty Daly of Elton Prince and Kilt Woodson and it kicked off the match very quickly when it came to Dawkins and Wilson starting to fight off, briefly gaining the upper hand, but Pretty Deadly hit a double tag team moves, and the Street Profits took control with a double team offense back and forth. Rocking with a couple of kicks, and the Street Profits maintained the advantage as Elton Prince tagged in with a clear house, but then a couple of Furies back in the offense when Dawkins gained the upper hand when he tagged in Montez Ford. Then, of course, we had a couple of near falls back and forth with a couple of 2 counts. Pretty Deadly goes for a slam on Prince, and then, of course, Montez Ford tags in Wilson with that lovely frog splash, catches him with a pin attempt for a 2 count, but the Street Profits hit that lovely double team blockbuster and was able to secure the pinfall with the 1, 2, 3. And overall, the match was great. It wasn't a dumpster fire. I enjoyed the course of how things were swinging with this match. It was great seeing that lovely Doomsday blockbuster for the pinfall. More than overall, the outcome of the match was in doubt whatsoever, as I knew that the Street Profits were going to continue to retain the championships. They need to have a nice, decent run through the course of these rest of this year. And, of course, leading up in London and all the possibility of the tag team stepping up. This is their first title defense, so I already figured they weren't going to be losing the titles anytime soon. Then we get straight to the backstage segment between Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, who speak with Zelina Vega. Of course, they was interrupted by the Alba Fire and Piper Niven. They follow up by Chelsea Green. She says she is a big threat to Green's title reign, and the two sides agreed to a tag team match as we had Katana Chance and Kaden Carter versus the Secret Services of Piper Niven and Alba Fire. It started off red hot as Katana Chance and Carter started off with double team action early on, and then Chance and Fire got into a crosshair, including a cross body block. Then they got into a whole bunch of tensions between each other, great transitions as the heels took advantage of the situation. Carter rallied back and forth with a big boot, and then she was able to hit a leg drop off the top ropes. Nevins accidentally squashed Fire with when she was trying to counter it, and then Carter and Chance hit a couple of double team moves, including a K-leg stand, including the breakup for the pinfall. Chelsea Green distracted the referee, and then Nevins hit Carter with the Piper Driver before the win for the Secret Service to come off with the victory after the United States Champions' involvement in the match. But where things got intriguing was Alba Fire and Niven started to attack on Carter and Chance, and Vega made the save, but she was taken out by the actual security detail as well, as Chelsea Green and Alba Fire and Piper Niven stand tall over all 3 ladies, leading the United States Women of America into walk away from there. And overall, it was a great showcase for all 4 women, especially Katana Chance and Kaden Carter being one of the greatest tag teams in recent months, including seeing Fire and Niven coming together like a mismatched team being a Secret Service gimmick. It's working out well for them, including the interference from Chelsea Green, and of course, seeing how things are stepping up with new contenders for the United States Championship. But in overall, they were still outnumbered and outgunned. But it's going to be looking good when it comes to the Women's United States Championship. Then we get into the Men's United States Championship, LA Knight versus Braun Strowman. And this match was a lot of back and forth. The match was smashed around for what it was, but it was called for a no contest. After both guys were going back and forth, trying to rally and get behind and take advantage, who comes out? Jacob Fatu. He comes out, tooted and booted, taking no prisoners, taking out everyone, leaving nobody unattended. He even catch Braun Strowman with a couple of headbutts to even take out LA Knight after they had a rough match. Started off slow, but then things broke down into a no contest as things went off the rails. Jacob Fatu hit a couple of moonsaults, including leading to a couple of attacks from there where the staff try to get involved and try to keep things on bay. But we see the feud between Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman continue to hit up into a higher gear, leading into a last man standing match. And we know these two are going to put on a clinic. But Jacob Fatu moonsaults them for a chef's kiss, and he kept hitting it back to back to back. It is nothing but beautiful. But in overall, the match was fun for what it was. and Strowman was looking dominant as usual, but it was a good test of strength for LA Knight. But WWE continues to keep the multi-man match, so it's leading to at least about 5 to 6 man to face LA Knight for the United States Championship, leading towards WrestleMania. Including you got Nakamura in alignment. You also got Tama Tonga, Braun Strowman, and you also have no other than Jacob Fatu and other people that could be getting involved. But the situation is happening. What really is going to break down when it comes to the United States Championship? I would like to know from you guys' point of view. Then we get to Jimmy Uso. He's talking back on stage about slapping Gunther, which was heard around the world, even everybody from ESPN to other networks, even people be making memes out of that actual slap. And he said he'll do it again, and he looks forward to facing Gunther on Monday Night Raw, which I think Gunther's going to get his payback receipt, and he's going to be a meat cleaver when it comes to the World Heavyweight Champion. But of course, he says Jey Uso is going to win the gold at WrestleMania 41. He bumps into The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, and The Miz says Jimmy and Jey are sidekicks, and they aren't even the main characters. He calls Jimmy and Jey blimps in the storyline of the Bloodline, and The Miz warns the Usos not to slap him, but Jimmy goes for a slap but laugh it off. Then he challenges them to a match, which have Jimmy Uso versus The Miz. Then we get to another backstage segment. Solo Sikoa confronts Jacob Fatu. He brushes them off. Tensions high between him and the duel. Fatu says when it comes to Braun Strowman, he will be the last man standing. And more importantly, he says he will win the WWE United States Championship. With or without them. You know what he means. And he's meaning business. And overall, there's no question about it. Like we're going to have a collision course between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, which I think Solo is going to cause some kind of interference and say he was trying to help out, but caused a destruction of Jacob Fatu going face, and I'm all for it. They're seeing what happens when it comes to the Samoan werewolf going solo and being a big dog when it comes to running the blue brand. And I'm intrigued and I'm excited, and I want to see what goes on when it comes to Jacob Fatu. Then we get to Naomi with this beautiful vignette. She had a whole lot of questions. She had the caution tape outfit going on. The demeanor was a lot more serious. Being a true veteran she was, it's about time Naomi is going back to that team bad kind of style attitude. Forget she's done with the glow, seems like it. Got a new kind of little style with the coloring, and I'm all for it. But as I quote, she said she was always been a woman to do the right thing. And she says she attacked Jade Carter wasn't any different. She says that she'd been seen as the bad one in the situation, but her heart was broken. And she did not understand how Jade Carter could come in and take her place alongside Belair. She said Belair is her friend, but who's the one who inspired her, and who's the one who had her back. Naomi says that she not only was the situation what was done, but she was undervalued, underappreciated, and she was treated like a third wheel. Naomi says that if Cargill keeps up for being in her way, she will proceed with caution. And more importantly, she has shined when it came to her being a true heel. I enjoyed every single part of it, including her way how she explained why she attacked Jade Cargill. And on top of that, easing the side of her being able to turn heel. But more importantly, the logic points was on point, and it gave a whole lot of value when it came to Naomi. I appreciated that promo, and it hit it hard, and I look forward to that match at WrestleMania. Then we get to Jade Cargill. She's talking to the general manager, Nick Aldis, where she has been trying to get her hands on Naomi. And he says that Naomi has been seen, but Cargill says that is going to be on site. Then Michin and B-Fab have a conversation with Jade Cargill and says, handle that business, and Naomi deserved what's coming to her. But of course, We never knew what was going to happen until later on in the actual showcase. Then we get that lovely Aaron got that forward teaser for Aleister Black making his return. But the big question is he coming alone? Or is he going to be coming with a reckoning in 4 different ways? The vignette was looking nice, and I'm excited to see what Aleister Black does when he comes back, being the king of the black mass and dominating the blue brand. Or maybe he'll make the switch to the red brand, but most likely he's going to be on SmackDown because his wife, Zelina Vega, is on SmackDown. So it's going to be good. I look forward to seeing what he got in store for us. Or is he going to be aligned himself with the Wyatt Six? We got to stay tuned because it's going to be intriguing to see what they do with him. Triple H has always been great with Aleister Black, one of his go-to guys from the original NXT, and I look forward to seeing what will actually happen. And then we get to women's singles action. Michin with B-Fab versus Charlotte Flair. But before we get things underway, Naomi attacked Michin from behind. And of course, she put the attack on B-Fab and slams her into the barricade and continued to unload her until Jade Cargill runs down to chase Naomi off. And then, of course, Naomi ran through the crowd. And then Charlotte Flair's interest came to the ring. Cargill briefly have a stare down with Flair, who basically just looks at her, paying no mind to the situation. Like, she didn't miss a beat. She ran off the rails, went straight into the action, put the big boot directly to Michin, and the onslaught was on from there. As she gained the upper hand, a couple of transitions back and forth. Michin was able to get a couple of moves back and forth, including a nice, lovely power bomb. But more importantly, she was able to gain the momentum back after a couple of 2 counts. She dumped Flair with a couple of lovely back suplexes, then hit her with a cannonball in the corner, and then hit that lovely flat back twerk. Michin hit her with a each to the defeat, but Flair gets her foot into the ropes and then, of course, targets Michin's legs and, of course, makes her taps out to that figure 8 and secure that victory as being the winner of the match, with the momentum leading towards WrestleMania with her match with Tiffy Tom. But in overall, the match perfectly was good for what it was, including Naomi's onslaught attack that threw it off a little bit. But in theory, Flair looked like she's put her away the opponent, how it should have happened. It was actually a squash match from what I have come across and seen it. Michin looked good through most of the course of the match, even though it was a lot of tension between her and Flair. But on the cherry on plot, Charlotte Flair was victorious when it came to everything that took place. Then we get to a backstage with the WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton. She asked Charlotte Flair about the promo last week and says that Flair is so insecure that she can't let the rookie get a word out. Stratton says that she is not only the one who's going to lose at WrestleMania, but as if Flair loses, she'll be the losing to a little girl. She says that maybe Flair will be finally shut up if she beats her, but Stratton says more than anything she'll walk out at WrestleMania as the WWE Women's Champion. Then we get to the next match of the night, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. McIntyre and Drew McIntyre went back and forth, a whole lot of back and forth. The tensions was high between both of these guys. They put a lot of moves involved, including Randy Orton using that lovely backdrop onto the announce table twice. A whole lot of momentum going back and forth. They traded blows. The crowd was invested into this match all the way through when Randy Orton took control of it. Was about to sign, seal, and deliver with the RKO. But, of course, things broke down. We had Kevin Owens, who came out down the ramp, distracting Randy Orton. McIntyre hit that lovely Claymore for the 1, 2, 3 to secure the victory, and things broke down from there. But where things got more intriguing, Orton pulls Randy Orton out the ring, slams him into the announce desk. He goes for the pile driver, but of course Orton reverses it and goes for the punt. But of course Kevin Owens runs away through the crowd. But the tensions are still high leading up to the WrestleMania. This match was really good from everything that had took place. It was kind of like a blast from the past when it came to this feud that took place back in 2020. But more importantly, both guys worked hard in their craft, and tensions were high between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. It was a worthy PLE match, but on a SmackDown, it was great for the London crowd. Even with Drew McIntyre getting that pinfall, it's a surprising win lead up towards WrestleMania. Set up for a challenge against Cody Rhodes for the world title after WrestleMania 41, as he has the momentum now currently on his side. But of course, things are continuing to break down between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, which Orton's going to get his get back, and he's going to punt Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. But in overall, it's going to be a great match. Then we get to a video package confirming that Rey Fenix, you got to love him, he'll be debuting next week on Friday Night SmackDown in Chicago. Hopefully, you guys are entertained. And if you want to know about Rey Fenix, he's somebody you do not want to sleep on. He has a great arsenal of moveset moves. The only question I have, do not have him do moves that will get him injured. He's always known to do high spots that will get him injured or do prop spots that be unnecessary. Lighten the load. Don't overdo your moves. People know who you are and still put on a great entertaining matches. But Rey Fenix is going to be entertaining, and I look forward to seeing who he goes in one-on-one against. But it's going to be intriguing to see Rey Fenix now part of the big stage now on Friday Night SmackDown. I'd like to know from you guys' point of view how you feeling about Rey Fenix coming along to SmackDown. Then we get ready for the next one. Big Jimmy Uso versus The Miz. It was a lot of back and forth, uppercuts, transitions of moves back and forth. I enjoyed the presentation of this match. A lot of Jimmy Uso really getting the crowd behind him, rallying, even doing a big slap to The Miz on the outside. Pretty much, he was rocking, controlling the majority of the match. The Miz pretty much was just felt like he was just a filler when it came to this match. Even with a couple of super kicks, even a lovely Uso splash to pick up the victory, Jimmy Uso was steamrolling into WrestleMania season, where he's looking for gold as well, and he's looking to get that lovely United States Championship as well, and he's looking to step up. So I could see him in that big six-man Smash Mouth match when it comes to LA Knight, Braun Strowman, even Jacob Fatu, Shinsuke Nakamura, and whoever else they decide to add into the match. But it'll be interesting. I think Big Jimmy Uso might get his time of the day, and LA Knight may be turning heel very, very soon. It seems like they may be pushing that route, but we got to stay tuned. But of course, where things got more intriguing, Jimmy Uso put on a headset since he's going to make Gunther a private rather than a ring general. And he's going to handle business with no yeets. But overall, the match was fine. It was better as it should have been, including Carmelo Hayes being a semi-sidekick to The Miz. I don't know how I'm feeling about that, but it didn't play out too well through the course of the match. But in a good way, Jimmy Uso had the momentum when it comes to this match against Gunther next week. But it was justified for what it was. But the match felt like it was pointless. But it was all right for what it was. Then we go to Drew McIntyre, who meets up with Louis Capivalli backstage. He is then interviewed by Jackie Redmond and says that Damian Priest doesn't have the balls to answer him. And he opens the door, of course. Who's there? Damian Priest. He's waiting, and they get into a brawl, and then he slams Drew McIntyre onto a car, and a bystander through a table, and then, of course, Damian Priest hits him through a windshield of the car, and, of course, was it real glass? CM Punk walks by, smirks and smiles, seeing Drew McIntyre is taken out through the front end of the actual car, and more importantly, it was intriguing seeing how everything was unfolding, but I'm intrigued to see how things was a work when it came to the presentation of all of that. But he smiled and he was ready for the contract signing later on in the actual show. Then we get to CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, the signing of WrestleMania. Along with Paul Heyman, who comes to the ring, signed the contract for the triple threat match for the biggest showcase of the Mortals for WrestleMania. Roman Reigns tells the London crowd to acknowledge him. And he says the fans sing him. Singing to him was nothing but beautiful. Of course, they were really hot, red hot for Roman Reigns. And he says there's signed a contract. He signs it right away. Was interrupted by Seth Rollins. And he tells the fans that they have a beautiful voice. But Rollins noted that he and Reigns have a lot of history in this building, including when they put The Undertaker through the table. He highlights their history, including riding into the helicopter, starting everything off, their accomplishments, the missions that reshaped WWE. Reigns says, we did a lot, but we died a long time ago, and now it's on him. It says he made WWE what it is today. He made them desirable to Netflix, and he is the flagship when it comes to WWE. And of course, Rollins says that this is the mindset why he keeps screwing Reigns. He says that Reigns let the biggest snake in the world, CM Punk, into the garden, and Reigns shook his hands. Rollins says that once again, he has to clean up Reigns' mess. CM Punk interrupts, and of course, he sits down at the table. He flips to the contract. Reigns tells him, Heyman, smarten him up, please. Heyman says that he knows what Punk is looking for, and it's in there. And he reveals to him with a tearful moment that he will be in the main event of WrestleMania. Punk is clearly emotional. He teared up. Ross said he doesn't deserve it. He says the main event WrestleMania is sacred and Punk doesn't deserve it. But of course, things break down as Punk thanks the fans. And Reigns says you should thank him, as he's the reason why he's main eventing. Punk gets on his knees and thanks him for allowing him to main event WrestleMania. But he tells him this isn't the favor that Paul Heyman owes him. And of course, things break down and the contract comes to a closing. But overall, I feel like the contract signing took way too long, too much talking with the interests. Reigns and Rollins exchange was very good. It added a substance to the match. Punk getting emotional about the main event was a nice touch. They keep teasing Heyman will be side with him soon, but the cliffhanger about the favor was nicely done too. And then overall, I enjoyed the whole entire presentation of how SmackDown was in London at the O2 Arena. More importantly, I appreciate you guys coming through for this lovely Friday Night SmackDown review. Push your comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Until the next episode, you guys be safe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.